warrior women, groundbreaking inventions, famous hoaxes, and even your favorite snack food. All these fascinating details about Native American history are often overlooked. If you didn't hear about them in school, you've missed out on some of the most captivating stories of all time. Native American culture is far from the monolithic version often portrayed in history lessons. It's time to uncover the rich diversity and incredible contributions of Native peoples that go beyond the textbook narratives. Warrior women were real in Hollywood movies. Native American men are often depicted charging into battle while the women stayed behind, cooking, sewing, and tending to the camp. But in reality, that's only part of the story. Many Native American women took up arms and fought alongside their male counterparts. One of the most legendary female warriors was Buffalo Calf Road Woman, a fearless member of the Northern Cheyenne tribe. She played a crucial role in two iconic battles, the Battle of the Rosebud and the Battle of Little Bighorn. According to the Northern Cheyenne elders, it was Buffalo Calf Road Woman herself who delivered the fatal blow that brought down Lieutenant Colonel George Custer at Little Bighorn. Buffalo Calf Road Woman is just one example of the incredible warrior women you probably didn't read about in your history books. These women defied expectations, stepping into battle with unmatched courage and making their mark on history in ways that were long forgotten or intentionally left out. And that's just the beginning. There's so much more to discover about Native American history, full of untold stories that will leave you awestruck. Native American housing, far more diverse than you think. If your knowledge of Native Americans comes primarily from Hollywood, you might think that all tribes lived in teepees, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Native American cultures were incredibly diverse, spanning numerous tribes, languages, and ways of life. While it's true that many Plains Indian tribes lived in teepees, portable and perfect for their nomadic lifestyle, other tribes had vastly different homes suited to their environments. For instance, the Iroquois nations lived in longhouses, which were large, communal buildings made from wood and bark that could house multiple families. In the Mesa Verde region, tribes built their homes directly into the cliffs, creating elaborate dwellings that provided shelter and defense. Meanwhile, the Taos tribes of New Mexico constructed pueblos, multi-story adobe structures that still stand today, making Taos one of the top 16 American cities for history lovers. These examples of native housing show the incredible adaptability and ingenuity of these tribes, each developing unique architectural solutions based on their environment. The complicated history of Indian giver. Now, let's talk about a phrase that's unfortunately survived through the years: Indian giver. Often used as an insult to describe someone who gives a gift and then takes it back, this derogatory term grossly misrepresents Native American customs. The truth is far more nuanced. In many Native cultures, gifting was seen as a reciprocal act where both the giver and receiver played active roles in continuing the relationship. Gifts weren't necessarily given with the expectation of permanence, but rather as part of a cycle of exchange and mutual support. So the phrase not only distorts the nature of Native American gift-giving, but also reflects a misunderstanding of their rich cultural traditions. Native American history is complex, fascinating, and full of stories and practices that challenge what we think we know. From their diverse housing styles to the misrepresentation of their traditions, it's time to look beyond the stereotypes and understand the true depth of Native American life. Cultural differences, the misunderstood practice of gift giving. The reality behind the term Indian giver is far more complex, and it stems largely from cultural misunderstandings between Native American tribes and white settlers. Settlers came from a background where transactions were based on money and permanent ownership. In contrast, Native American tribes followed systems of bartering, where goods were exchanged in a cycle of reciprocity. What settlers mistook for gifts were often objects of value that Native Americans expected something in return for. This was not about taking back a gift, but rather about maintaining balance in exchanges. The misinterpretation of this cultural difference led to the derogatory use of the term Indian giver, which unfairly distorted Native American customs. Guess who invented popcorn? Popcorn might be synonymous with movie nights and microwave bags today, but its roots go back much further. Have you ever wondered where popcorn actually originated? Long before it became a favorite movie time snack, indigenous people of the Americas domesticated the specific strain of maize that pops when heated. Native Americans were enjoying popcorn thousands of years ago, long before it became the commercial snack we know today. In fact, popcorn artifacts dating back 600 to 700 years have been discovered in Peru, showing that this beloved treat has a rich history. The next time you watch your popcorn pop, remember that it's more than just a snack. It's a connection to ancient agricultural innovation from Native American cultures. The prima ballerina who made history. She rose to become the prima ballerina of the New York City Ballet and is now celebrated as one of the greatest dancers the world has ever seen. Her grace, talent, and dedication elevated her to a position few ever reach, and her legacy continues to inspire dancers across the globe. The origins of hockey. Thank Native American tribes. If you're a hockey fan, there's a good chance you've never heard about the Native American roots of the game. It turns out we have the Sauk's, Foxes, and Assiniboine tribes to thank for inspiring the sport we know today as hockey. These tribes played a game called shinny, where players hit a buckskin ball down the field with a curved stick. When winter arrived, they played the game over ice. White settlers took notice, and as time passed, shinny evolved into modern hockey. So the next time you watch a game, remember to give credit to these tribes for their early contributions to this fast-paced sport. The Iroquois influence on the U.S. Constitution. Here's a fact that might surprise you. The U.S. Constitution was inspired by the Constitution of the Iroquois Confederacy. Ben Franklin and the Founding Fathers looked to the Iroquois model of governance when drafting the Constitution. The Iroquois Confederacy, also known as the Haudenosaunee, had a sophisticated system of checks and balances that deeply influenced the framework of the United States government. So, the democratic principles that Americans hold dear today owe much to the wisdom of the Iroquois nation. However, Pamela Sealis, Associate Director of Outreach and Engagement for the Center for Native American and Indigenous Research at Northwestern University, points out that Ben Franklin and the Founding Fathers left out a critical aspect of the Iroquois governance model: the clan mothers. These women held incredible power. They were the ones who selected the leaders at the representative level because they knew the individuals best. This crucial role of women in leadership was left out of the U.S. Constitution, highlighting an important yet often overlooked aspect of the Iroquois Confederacy's democratic system. Native American artifacts are legally protected. If you ever come across a fascinating artifact on federal or tribal land, it may be tempting to keep it, but doing so could be against the law. The Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act, NAGPRA, was created to ensure that certain items, such as human remains, funerary objects, sacred items, and objects of cultural patrimony, are returned to their rightful lineal descendants, Indian tribes, or Native Hawaiian organizations. This law protects the rich cultural heritage of Native Americans and ensures their ancestral legacies are preserved and respected. Jim Thorpe, a legendary athlete. If you're a sports fan, you've likely heard the name Jim Thorpe, one of the most extraordinary athletes in history. He excelled in multiple sports, including football, baseball, and track and field. Thorpe, a member of the Sac and Fox Nation, is remembered for his incredible achievements in the 1912 Olympics, where he won gold medals in both the pentathlon and decathlon. His versatility and dominance in so many sports make him one of the greatest athletes of all time. Thorpe's legacy not only shines in the world of sports, but also serves as a reminder of the incredible contributions of Native Americans to athletics. Jim Thorpe, a member of the Sac and Fox Nation, made history as the first Native American to win not just one, but two Olympic gold medals, one for the pentathlon and the other for the decathlon at the 1912 Games. His remarkable athleticism didn't stop there. Thorpe went on to play professional football, baseball, and basketball, a true multi-sport athlete. And if that's not impressive enough, he also played lacrosse in college and even won a ballroom dancing championship. His extraordinary range of talents has led many to consider Jim Thorpe the greatest athlete of all time, a title well-deserved for a man whose legacy spans so many sports and disciplines. Squanto's story, more than what you learned in school. The story of Squanto, the member of the Patuxet tribe who helped the Pilgrims survive after landing on the Mayflower, is often told as a tale of goodwill and cooperation, but the real story is much deeper and far more tragic. Squanto was only able to help the Pilgrims because he had learned English after being kidnapped. In 1605, Squanto was abducted by English explorer George Weymouth, who took him to Britain to be shown off to wealthy backers as a kind of living exhibit. While in England, Squanto learned English, a skill that would later allow him to communicate with the Pilgrims. After several years, he managed to return to his homeland, only to find his tribe decimated by disease. Squanto's life, marked by both tragedy and resilience, is a testament to the complexities of early interactions between Native Americans and European settlers, a story that often goes untold in the simplified versions taught in classrooms. Upon his return to his homeland, Squanto was met with yet another cruel twist of fate. He was abducted again, this time by Englishman Thomas Hunt, who sold him into slavery in Spain. Against all odds, Squanto eventually found his way back home, only to be devastated by the loss of his entire tribe, who had been wiped out by a smallpox epidemic. It was in the wake of this unimaginable tragedy that Squanto crossed paths with the Mayflower passengers, offering them the knowledge and skills they needed to survive, despite all he had endured. Honoring the Code Talkers, unsung heroes of war. For decades, the heroic efforts of Native American Code Talkers remained hidden in the shadows of classified military records. It wasn't until 2002, after Congress passed the Code Talkers Recognition Act, that the full story of these courageous servicemen was finally revealed. During World War I and World War II, Native American soldiers performed crucial and dangerous work, relaying encrypted messages in their native languages and dialects, often behind enemy lines. These messages were nearly impossible for the enemy to decode, thanks to the unique complexity of native languages. What made their contribution even more remarkable was the fact that many of these Native Americans were serving in a military that, at the time, did not fully recognize or respect their cultures. Back home, they faced widespread discrimination and were often discouraged from practicing their native traditions. Yet, they put their lives on the line, using their ancestral languages to protect the very country that had marginalized them. Today, we can finally honor and celebrate the Code Talkers for their invaluable service and the pivotal role they played in both world wars. Their codes were never broken, giving the United States an immense advantage in wartime communications. Because of the incredible bravery and ingenuity of the Code Talkers, they are now credited with changing the course of history, playing a vital role in the success of U.S. military efforts during World War I and World War II. Each tribe has a unique culture. When it comes to Native American history, many students are only taught about a few well-known tribes like the Cherokee, Mohawk, and Sioux. But the truth is, there were countless tribes across North America, each with its own distinct culture, language, and traditions. Even today, the United States government officially recognizes almost 600 Native American tribes, all with their own rich histories and unique ways of life. To help these tribes preserve their heritage, the National Park Service runs a tribal preservation program, which assists tribes in safeguarding their historic lands and protecting important cultural sites. As Pamela Silas reminds us, it's important to remember that each tribe has different religious practices, language, and origin stories. Recognizing this diversity is crucial to understanding the true depth and complexity of Native American history and culture. Thank you for watching and listening.